So hello again, welcome back to the Deep South podcast. My name is Simon and here we talk about fat loss, muscle building and mindset. Today it's reviewing a video about someone who is giving advice to beginners basically on how to recomp, so how to build muscle and lose fat at the same time. So I'll play the video and I'll jump in as we go.
If I wanted to lose fat and build muscle in the year of 2025,
So why say 2025? I don't get it. That means next year it won't be valid anymore? Don't know. It just seems a bit strange to me. Why not be timeless, like Tony Storm? AEW fans out there, you're welcome.
a beginner in the gym, this is exactly what I would do. So get a pen and paper out, get your notes out, because it is day 30 of 30-day beginner-friendly workouts. Even though I'm not giving you a specific workout to do, I am going to give you the best way to lose fat and build muscle after the years of coaching and figuring out how to do it the best way possible.
Well, off to a good start in terms of not recommending a specific exercise or routine to go through. It's a very personalized thing. Lots of variables involved to put a program together for someone that's effective. Certainly one that you need to check up on all the time. So particular workout programs, not something I would say as a sort of template or do this or do that. So yeah, good start. One of the things that gets me is when someone says, I've been doing this for years, or I've been at this for 20 years plus, and it's just like meant to strike this chord of credibility within me. Like, no matter what you say from this point on now, it's going to be amazing because you've got that experience. It doesn't really mean anything to me. You could be doing something wrong for decades upon decades, and it would still be wrong. It doesn't magically become right because of the time that has passed. So it's a bit annoying when I hear this kind of thing about I've been doing this for years. The credibility comes from me, is from knowledge that you clearly have, the credibility that you're conveying, the way that you're communicating, and the results that you've got yourself or that you can show you've helped others attain.
So first things first, we're going to figure out your calories. It is very true when they say that you cannot out-train a bad diet. So it doesn't matter how much cardio you do, how much weight you're lifting, you need to figure out your calories and your macros.
Well, it's very true that you can't out-train a bad diet. This is a really key point. It's like weight training and cardio have their particular purposes, and it's not to burn calories. It's like a byproduct of what you're doing. It's a nice welcomed thing that you get from the effort that you put in, but the effort that you put in should be for another reason. So for weight training, it's to create the stimulus for more growth, for more bigness or hypertrophy, and develop strength. Whereas cardio should be done enjoyment, first of all, and secondly, to help your heart and your respiratory system perform so that you can perform, so it no longer becomes a limiting factor when you're doing something more important like weight training. So yes, bad diet, that's the end of the line. I think that's also something that it's very hard for people to hear that, to understand it and comprehend it and to implement it into what they're doing. It seems contrary, doesn't it? Like, go to the gym and burn 500 calories on the treadmill and I'll be right. I've gone so far towards my goal, or I can now get away with a meal of whatever description. But that mentality and doing that isn't going to get you to where you want to be.
So you are going to go onto a website called Harris-Benedict Formula. Here you are going to put in your age, weight, and height. You're also going to be putting in your activity levels. If you're someone that has a sedentary lifestyle and you have a desk job, your lifestyle would be not very active. After you've put this in, it is going to give you a rough total daily energy expenditure. This is how many calories you burn a day.
Yeah, big red flag here for me. When it comes to deciding how many calories that you're going to have, what your maintenance level is, what your starting point is, it's the whole thing about entering a few details, such as your age, your height, your weight, activity levels, into a website, and then it's going to pump out a magical number for you, and you go, oh yes, that's it, I'm going to stick with that. That's going to be my Bible, so to speak. It's like, if I'm ever wondering what to do, that number is going to be where I go to. It's just, there's no one size fits all. Your lifestyle, what constitutes active, the muscle mass that you have, the metabolism that you have, all these variables, so many of them. But just to point you to a website, quite disappointing, really. It's not going to get you to where you want to go. And that is the point that it's trying to get you to. It's such a crucial point. Like that's where everything pivots from. Like, you start there and you go on. Now, if that is so unbelievably incorrect, or it's just such a guess, then you are setting yourself up to fail. And you are going to come across a roadblock quite soon. And it's going to be quite a harsh one. So you really want to make sure you're determining your calories and your maintenance calories, where your starting point is, with quite a bit of accuracy. And that Harry-Benedict's website, not that I have anything against Harry-Benedict, I'm sure that he's a stand-up guy, but just don't go to his website and don't rely on that.
With this, you are going to go 1 to 200 calories below your maintenance, not a huge deficit. To get both goals simultaneously, you do not want to be in a massive calorie deficit. Building muscle requires energy. Where do we get energy from? Food. If you are in a huge calorie deficit, you will not be able to build the muscle that you want to, therefore you will not be able to body recomp.
Yeah, 1 to 200 calorie deficit. Yeah, this whole calorie deficit thing, it's a really interesting discussion, and it's one that I could talk about for a long time. There's a lot of depth involved, lots of nuances, lots of variations. Really a deep subject to just sum up so quickly. That's the nature of TikTok, I suppose. But yeah, big question mark over this one. Like, if your deficit is too small, you're not going to see very many results. And then when you do have a moment due to stress or whatever, where you go ahead and you eat something that you hadn't planned to, then that'll wipe out all of that effort. And it'll be like you've just done all of that for no reason, and you become demotivated and you become less consistent, which are the main downfalls, in a sense, of losing motivation, losing consistency. You might as well just not have anything in the first place. So you've got to plan a deficit that's going to work to fit in with your lifestyle, your habits, your compulsions, what you're compelled to do, and work with it. It needs to be adequate to see some result that's going to make you feel motivated to carry on. While at the same time, you don't want the deficit to be too large, because then all sorts of stuff happens that you don't want to happen, such as your mood, your anxiety, you start fidgeting, you get irritable, you can't concentrate. And then, worst of all, you start losing muscle mass, and that is a major problem. And then on top of that, your hormones in your body ramp up to make you want to undo everything, to make you want to eat, to make you not want to work out, to make you feel unmotivated and depressed, so that all that stuff that's going to help you get to where you want to get to, you don't have any inclination for it at all. It makes you sit on the couch and think, where have you gone wrong? Rather than getting into it with a moderate calorie deficit and getting after those results. There's a balance there between what's right and what's wrong, what will work and what won't, what's too large and too small of a deficit. You've got to walk that tightrope, and you've got to walk it well to get good results. So the girl's right in the sense of what she's saying about how the calorie deficit needs to be looked after so that you don't burn muscle mass, etc. But what I would really warn against is recommending like 1 to 200 calorie deficit. Recommending a number is where things start to go wrong, because if you are some behemoth, you're tall, you're muscular, etc., that 200 calories compared to what you're eating now is going to be such a small indentation. It falls under the 2 fewer calories, or the smaller cut that won't make much of a difference. But if you recommend that 200 calories to someone who's of a smaller stature, petite person, for example, male or female, doesn't really matter. That same calorie amount, those 200, are going to represent such a large cut for them because their starting point of the calories that they consumed was far lower. So 200 calories of their starting point is such a significant percentage compared to the larger person. So saying that number, I'm not a fan of that.
And beginners are in a prime position to be able to body recomp, aka lose fat, build muscle at the same time.
Yeah, mentioning that beginners are in prime position to burn body fat and build muscle, couldn't agree more. If you are a beginner, I'll tell you right now, good on you, and you've got a lot to look forward to. You're in a very fortunate position to be at this point where you're motivated to do something, probably why you're listening to this, and then to go ahead and do it. Because your body is just ready for change. Whatever you throw at it, it's going to make a change to some degree. You're going to feel stronger, bigger, faster, and your body fat is going to be more inclined to go at this stage before you get to the point where your body starts pushing back, saying, all right, hang on, what you doing? Before you get to that stage, you can make some incredible results. And what is important is that you take advantage of this beginner phase. And unfortunately, that's where many people go very wrong. So let's have a listen to the rest of the video to see what advice is being given, and we'll have a wee chat about it, shall we?
You are then going to figure out your protein. You need to make sure that you are figuring out your protein off of your weight. You want to get your weight in kg and times it by 2. This is going to be your rough amount of protein that you should be having.
Yes, protein, very important, a vast subject. So many things that protein does for the body, some of which are obvious and mainstream and talked about all the time in the gym, building muscle. Others not so well known, which really contribute towards all the results that you're getting in an indirect way or perhaps unknown way. But it helps with muscle building, muscle retention, and to such an important point is it really does keep you satiated, and that's so important. Hunger is the one thing that tends to drive people to the fridge, the pantry, or, I'll just get a takeout just tonight, never again, until the next time tonight rolls around. But keeping that hunger under wraps is really important, and it serves you so well. Protein really helps with that. She advocates how to calculate your protein there. My general rule of thumb is 1 gram per pound that you weigh. She's like two times the kilo weight that you have, which is roughly a pound. So you can't fault that really. It's not an exact science. Again, you have a starting point, much like with your calories. See how you go. Adjust and tweak along the way. And one thing that's really key that I've found in my journey is protein timing. Hasn't been mentioned here, but how you have your protein. If you just ate all, 220 odd grams in one sitting, good luck with that, by the way. But if you did that, then you wouldn't get the maximum results, I don't believe. But if you put it throughout the day and prioritize them around things such as your workouts where there's more demand, then you get better results and you feel better and you feel fuller for longer. That hunger is curbed, and believe me, it's an important point to really take that hunger and have a chokehold on it. Be in control of the hunger, and you're in so much control of what you're doing.
You're then going to figure out your carbs and your fats. Do not neglect your fats, especially if you are a female. We need fats for hormonal health. You want your fats to be around 20 to 30%. If you have issues like endometriosis, PCOS, you want this to be on the higher spectrum, like myself. Then the rest of the percentage is going to be your carbohydrates. They are our body's main source of energy, and we need to make sure that we are consuming them. So let's recap on the nutrition. Figure out your total daily energy expenditure. Go 1 to 200 calories below. Get your protein from your weight in kg and times it by 2. Have around 20 to 30% of fats and the rest carbs. Then we're moving on to our workouts. Basic is key. Beginners do not need complex programs.
Yeah, love a good recap. But it's also mentioned basic workouts there. I mean, what is that? We've got to define these things when we throw them out there. What's a basic workout? What is a complex workout? You also have to account for people's personality types. Like if everyone was a robot, probably wouldn't have muscles then. If everyone was like a muscular robot or behaved like a robot but had muscles, then it would be really quite straightforward. But one of the biggest parts is that if you do this on this particular weight, you'll probably get this result. But because you go home and you eat the food that you want to eat and you have the rest and recovery that you want to have and you have the social life that you want to have and you have a certain attitude towards how much you're doing and how well you're doing it and a variety of other personality traits that you can't account for, those things have to be understood. What kind of person are you dealing with, or are you yourself? And then what does that mean? And how do you design something that has got to be turned into a lifestyle around that? That's another key point that has got to be understood. This isn't just about do X, Y, and Z and achieve your result. This is about considering everything and then hopefully getting the result that you would expect to get. And the whole basic thing, like complexity is such a massive part of this because it's not just about lifting the weight. For example, you've got to lift it with the correct execution. I mean, not only is injury prevention right up there at the top of the list, you don't want people to just throw weights around when they start going, oh, how does this thing work? Oh, is it like, I'll just bug my shoulder and my elbow, my hip, my knee. It all hurts, so I'll have to have a rest and get back to it in a few weeks' time. None of that. You want to start off with the complexities in mind. How do you work out properly? How does the technique go? What are the rest periods like? Because you don't want to work out when you're buggered, because then you're going to probably not work out. You want to make sure that everything has been done right. And then nutrition. So it's not just in the gym, the complexity spreads to a variety of things, which I feel that she hasn't even touched on, really, just saying basic workout. There is no such thing as a basic workout, unless you're just having a trial, picking this up, picking that up and seeing how it's going. Everything is complex if you do it properly to get the results that you should get. That's how I see it anyway.
You don't need to worry about anything that you have seen that is too complex on the internet, because basic and consistent training with proper nutrition is going to get you these results.
You're not sure what this whole on the internet or online is all about. I mean, years ago, perhaps you could debate about seeing something online, like it was a peculiar thing, because you had so many things like TV, magazines, everyone went to the gym. I don't know, like, just because it's online doesn't make it invalid. If anything, it makes it incredibly valid, because you can pause or rewind if you've got a tape player, or skip backwards and forwards, re-listen, get some more value out of it. And these people that put these things together, they're very experienced. More often than not, they have something for you to consider, whether you implement it or not. It's something to think about. So saying this and that online, don't worry about it, nah. Well, she mentions consistent training, proper nutrition, hard to fault that, but what a can of worms that is. A good can of worms, by the way, to get stuck into. It's a big subject, but it shouldn't be brushed over in a sentence or two. It is something that you've really got to get stuck into and appreciate, if you want results, that is. And training, basic or not, needs to be something that presents a challenge so that it turns into a stimulus for some sort of growth, whether it's size or strength or endurance, whatever it is, performance. It needs to be challenging and stimulating. And the proper nutrition that she mentioned, well, you've got to know the calories, the proteins. The calories and the protein are the huge main components. And that's something that I wish she would have got stuck into, because that's huge. Like I was saying before, like, you've got to get the nutrition right and then move on to the training. Whereas if you just say proper nutrition and leave that so open, but people get into the gym and do what they're doing, that's when the hunger creeps in. That's when the recovery doesn't quite go as you want it to go. That's when the progress doesn't come as soon as you like. And you think, well, what am I doing wrong? Am I lifting too little, too much? And more often than not, the answer is that your nutrition just isn't quite where it needs to be.
2 full body sessions a week. Going straight into a split program is probably going to be detrimental to you. If you're a beginner in the gym, you are going to get delayed onset muscle soreness, aka DOMS.
Yeah, split programs, full body workouts, DOMs, or the concern that you're going to get DOMs. Well, it's all part of it, really. I think it's really important to set expectations. She hasn't. Well, not really. I think anyone who's approaching this whole world of fitness, etc., needs to have their expectations really clear and understand them and expect them. And that when you do a workout for the first time, you are going to get DOMs. If an experienced person does a workout they haven't done in some time, or a movement they haven't done in some time, even if it's using the same muscle groups that they always use, then they're going to get DOMs. And DOMs is just a byproduct of the hard work that you've done. It's muscle damage. And then along comes the nutrition and the rest, and the damage disappears. And then the end result is something above and beyond what you started with in terms of capability, size, or strength. So DOMs is nice. And I think it should be embraced, not to have someone scared of it, or make you scared of it, or not want to fully experience it and embrace it. Important part of what you do. Love a bit of DOMs. And I think if you are exercising with it in mind of, I don't want to go too hard because I might get DOMs, I don't think you're ready to do what you're trying to do. It's good for your mental health and good for a bit of this and that to be in the gym, experience the environment, and to go through a few motions. But beyond that, not really sure that's ready for you. Just stick with the experience. Maybe it's a social thing for you, and that's absolutely fine. That's great. It really is. But if you're looking to make that progress, looking to change your physique and your body, how you feel, how you look, etc., then expect and embrace DOMs. Delayed onset muscle soreness, if I haven't already mentioned that. Yeah, I can't really think of a situation where a split program is going to be detrimental for you. You can think of many situations where a full body workout is going to be detrimental, but a split workout routine. And what we've got to appreciate is that muscles are directly and indirectly exercised. Like, you wouldn't do a chest press and go, I've just done my chest. It's your shoulders too, a bit of your back. It's muscles that are supporting and helping your chest, which is your prime mover, to work. So you're never just doing one exercise. It's always spilling over into other things. And it allows you to get your technique right and your tempo right, and allows you to become a master of the skill that is weight training. Weight training is a real skill, by the way. It's not something that you just walk into the gym within a session or two, you're right. It's something that you develop over time. And it can be a lot of time for some people. It can be quite short for others, because again, we're all so different.
And training a singular muscle group, because that is what you see online, is going to make it even worse.
Yeah, back to this whole online thing. Isolation muscle that you've seen online, or individual muscles that you've seen people training online. Well, I don't know. Something about this whole online thing doesn't resonate with me. If it's good, it's good. Whether it's in front of you or on a screen, whatever. But getting away from training a single muscle or group, not that you can do that, but getting away from that idea or that concept that you can just to avoid DOMs. No, embrace it, go for it. That's what you want. You want progress, right?
Doing 2 full body programs is going to allow you to ease yourself into your training. Do this for about 3 weeks. Get yourself used to a routine, get yourself used to going to the gym.
2 full body programs to ease you into training. Well, if you're doing 2 full body programs, then both programs can't be of the intense nature that is ideal for them to be. Otherwise, you'll absolutely be buggered, especially if your nutrition isn't right. If you did half of your body one day and then half of the body the other, even if you had upper and then lower, the dreaded split, then that's great because you're allowing yourself time to recover. And because you're new, you recover that much faster, which means the next time you do it or go at it, you're going to be that much more capable of putting in so much effort. You're not going to have like any lingering soreness or any lingering non-recoveryness. That's a new word, by the way. Sort of daunting you, haunting you. It's nothing. It's going to be like a clean slate every time. You're ready and raring to go. And the amount that you can work out, the amount of DOMs you can get, the amount of intensity that you can work at, the stimulus that you can achieve, the challenge that you can present yourself, phenomenal. If you're trying to do it twice a week, full body, that's how you get buggered. It really is. If you're working out to any extent that's going to produce a significant change, which I assume you want, then doing your whole body twice a week, geez, if I did that, I'd probably quit. I'd be like, oh no, bugger this, I'm screwed. You know, it's a bit much, I think. Plus you've got the systemic fatigue, or like your nervous system and stuff. It's a lot of load to put on at one time. And if you're going to do that, yeah, it's hard going, I'll tell you that much.
After the 3-week mark, you can then add in a 3rd full body program. That means that you are going to be training each muscle group 3 times a week, which is prime for muscle growth.
And then the other recommendation is do it for 3 weeks. Why? We're all so different. Why do we have a subscribed number? The correct way, in my opinion, for this is to see how you go. As every week goes by, think, how did I feel at the start? How do I feel now? How am I changing? Is my nutrition right? Do I need to add an exercise? Take it away. Do a larger volume? Do more reps? Do more sets? Get more hydrated? My electrolytes, what are they like? So many variables that you need to think about, not just doing a full body exercise twice a week for 3 weeks. I mean, what's up with that? One for Hurricane Helms there, by the way, for all the wrestling fans, which I'm sure there are many of. Okay, so we passed the 3-week mark and we're now adding a 3rd full body exercise. Well, going back to my last comment about the second one, if I now did a 3rd full body routine after 3 weeks of hard work, that is just pushing that overtraining barrel down the road, I think. Providing you're working out effectively. I mean, anyone can get past the 3-week mark, but just by doing a bit of this and a bit of that, it's easy to do that. But if you're approaching this from the point of view of progression and looking to take advantage of that beginner position that you're in, therefore you should be working out hard, then this whole week 3, now 3 full body exercises, Christ, you never get out of bed. You'd just be buggered.
You want to do this for around 4 weeks. Progressively overload every single week. This doesn't have to be with weights, it can be with reps.
Oh, so now we're doing that for 4 weeks. Again, why such a subscribed number. Just, I don't get it. And my previous comments agree. I would just be repeating myself if I was replying to that or reacting to that. So I'll leave that there, but it's just monitoring yourself. Don't worry about some 4-week time frame. You see, some people use the same routine for weeks, months, years on end. I've been using a very similar one for a few decades. A few tweaks here and there, every now and again replace an exercise just for that variety, that stimulation, that motivation. Helps with consistency, but exciting. Haven't done something in a while, I'll start doing it again. Oh yeah, this is pretty cool. That kind of thing. But yeah, just to say, right, I'm going to sit down after 4 weeks and see how I go and revamp everything. Why? Don't. Individual. That's what it's got to be.
Personally, as a coach who specialises in teaching beginners, I always opt for the 8 to 12 rep range mark for compound movements. And then for isolation exercises, I will give them a rep range anywhere from 15 to 30 reps.
So someone explain to me why. Why those rep ranges? 8 to 12 and then 15 to 30. First of all, right, if you're doing 15 to 30 reps, that going towards 30 reps, that's so hard. And it's not going to tap into your strength. It's just, that is hard going. And to say the beginning was avoid DOMs, ease into things, and now we're looking at doing anything for 30 reps, unless you're using a really light weight, in which case you just think, what are you doing? Lifting such a light weight for 30 reps, yep, great, knocked it out of the park, next. And she decides those rep ranges based on compound or isolation exercises. Now, there's no real such thing as an isolation exercise, because if we, as I said before, if we take the chest, for example, your chest is the main movement. You might say, today I'm exercising my chest, and you do a variety of chest presses. But then at some point when your chest starts to get tired, what starts to happen is that other muscles kick in. And these are called synergists. The synergist's job is to help the prime mover, the chest, to perform the movement that you are asking of it to do. But then the whole time, regardless of it's at the beginning or at the end, tired or not tired, you have shoulder muscles. They're called fixators. Their job is to hold that joint really still and stable where you need it to be. The shoulder joint's it's a ball and socket joint. It sits into your shoulder, doesn't really have much security there. It's quite easy to dislocate, really. And that's more to the point, is if you're lifting a heavy weight on your chest, you've got those muscles that really have a hard job of working to keep that shoulder where it is, not letting it slip down sideways or wherever outside of the groove that it's meant to be in. So your synergists help, your fixators fix, and your prime mover works bloody hard. So you've got a real group movement here. Thinking about the word I'm meant to use, a real group effort. There you go. And it's not just one muscle group. So you can't simply isolate the shoulders. Even if you lifted 2 kilos with the shoulders, I'm sure the fixators would come in and hold it in place. So same concept, but to lesser or greater degrees, depending on the severity or intensity of your exercise or your movement. Now, a compound exercise is just simply where you're using more than one joint. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. If you're doing a bicep curl, it's just your elbow joint that's moving, but you're using multiple muscles, forearms, 2 heads of the biceps, again shoulders, legs holding you still, abs in place to keep your body right, shoulders to keep your posture while you're doing it. Lots involved, but just the one simple elbow movement. Then you have a squat. Again, multiple muscles. All those, your calves, your glutes, your squats, your hamstrings, erector spinae, the back of your back there. All of that, but it involves more than one joint. So you've got your ankles, you've got your knees, and you've got your hips, for example, there. So it's very hard to simply say, right, I'm doing a compound exercise. It's like, well, what kind of compound? And then you can't say isolation exercise because you're never isolating a muscle. So this whole thing here about rep range is one question mark. And then your rep range being determined by the type of compound or isolation exercise you're doing is another. So yeah, multiple question marks there.
The reason why I do hypertrophy and endurance is not because you don't want to be focusing on strength, because you do not know how capable you are. Your training till failure is probably not training till failure, and I mean that in the nicest way possible. Having a high rep range is going to allow you to push yourself close to failure, which is what you need to be doing to get the results that you want.
Hypertrophy and endurance, because you don't want to focus on strength because you don't know what failure is. Thinking that one through hard, and I don't get it. Failure is failure, regardless. And failure changes over time. Someone who's a beginner hasn't realised their failure yet. They will at some point soon. Or when they do get to that point, they'll still realise what it is again later on. I'm still realising what my failure point is. Someone who's preparing for a competition of some sort, strongman, bodybuilding, figure, whatever it is, they are reaching failure at that point because they feel as strong as they feel. They might be a bit agitated. They might be overwhelmed with work or with stress. They might be dehydrated. Their electrolytes might be down. Their calories might be at too heavy a deficit and it's catching up with them. There are so many variables that contribute towards what you can do in a particular day. I mean, I've had many workouts where I've lifted X number of reps on a weight and I've gone, geez, you couldn't put a gun to my head and get me to do another one of those reps. But 2 weeks ago, I did another rep. So what's going on there? It's just the variety of factors that you don't always understand or control that determined these things. So there's no point in worrying about what your failure point is and therefore don't touch it until it becomes obvious. You've got to do it to realize what it is or isn't, or what perhaps you think it could or should be, in order to even be in the ballpark or the game of realizing it. So yeah, bit of a strange approach to all this stuff.
Now, after you have done the 3 full body sessions for around 4 weeks, then you can move on to a split program if you want to.
Okay, so I've gone for 3 weeks, was it 4, doing 3 full body workouts, and now if I want to, I can do a split. Well, that's very kind of you. Thank you very much. So it's not all based upon flipping a coin and if you get heads or tails. It's good to know.
You also need to make sure that you are finding a routine that works for you. If you can only go into the gym 2 to 3 times a week, you don't want to be doing a split program. Why? Because you're not going to be training your muscle groups as much as you need to. You need to be trying to hit each muscle group at least twice a week. However, if you do have the time to go into the gym 4 times a week, then you can go into a lower upper split. And again, you are going to stick to this routine for a minimum of 4 to 6 weeks. Again, stick with a basic programs, basic structure. Now, once you get to about the 6-week mark in total.
Yeah, we've got all these time frames floating around and basic programs again. It's all, yeah, much the same. But I think a few points that I'll say in response to all of that, it's a bit there, but be the following. 2 to 3 times a week in the gym will be fine. It will get you some kind of results. If you can put more time, then you will get more results. It's as simple as that. If you can dedicate to more time 4 times a week, fantastic. If you can say, right, I'm going to start this journey and I'm going to do 4 days a week, then beautiful. You're allowing yourself time to rest and recover, and you're allowing your time to hit the body as you need to hit it. And absolutely find a workout that works for you. Now the term works, well, works can be in a variety of manners. It can simply be something that keeps you going to the gym consistently and keeps you motivated to do so. That is the one big one. From all that I've experienced, people making the start, that's the key thing. And then secondary, very close to it, but secondary is doing something and then feeling a result. So you got to get that balance. but a workout that works for you, that makes you feel good, makes you feel like you've worked that muscle and that you've challenged yourself, got that stimulus, and perhaps you feel stronger next time, which as a beginner you're more than likely to, that keeps you motivated and keeps you consistent. And that works. And she has something against doing split programs. I don't like the term split. It's just you're targeting certain muscle groups on certain days. That's how I see it. And it doesn't have to be front and back, which is often called antagonist and agonist muscle groups, like hamstrings and quads, biceps, triceps, chest and back. It can be whatever you like. Shoulders and calves, go for that. So long as you don't do your shoulders the day after or day before your chest, because they have such an involvement with your chest, then you should be right. But don't stray away from this split routine or targeting certain muscle groups at one time. You don't have to do a full body workout. My advice would be not to do that. And 4 to 6 weeks, we're at this time frame thing again, aren't we? I don't know where that comes from, but yeah, it's you evaluate on the time frame that you think is appropriate to you. And this progressive overload, such an important point, yes, but there are so many ways that you can progressively overload, not just with weights and reps. There are so many other ways. As I mentioned some time ago, rest, recuperation, hydration, the rest in between your sets, not just in between workouts, that matters. The quality of reps, so therefore your technique, what do you like? Are you doing it fast or slow? Are you bouncing at the bottom or at the top? Are you doing it with adequate range of motion? So how far is that bicep going down? Or how high up in the air are you going when you're doing a shoulder press? That kind of thing. All of these are tools that you can use to progressively overload, not just the weight and not just the reps. I haven't increased my weight in years because I just have so many other tools that I can use to make that progression occur.
Now we're going to talk about cardio, because cardio plays an important role in supporting body recomposition. While strength training is the primary driver for building muscle, cardio is going to complement the whole process of body recompositioning. It is going to increase your caloric burn.
Yes, it was just a matter of time before we got onto cardio. Now, cardio is just like weight training. Don't use it for caloric burn. Simple as that. Use it for its purpose, to improve your heart, your respiratory system, your lungs, make yourself healthy, make yourself feel good. With the weight training, stimulate more growth. Don't use it to burn calories. It's so hard to determine how many calories you're burning anyway. Don't even try it. Use it for its purpose, not for the calorie burn.
Because when you're strength training, you shouldn't be looking at how many calories you burn. That is not what strength training is for.
However, if you do cardio and you thoroughly enjoy it, then keep thoroughly enjoying it. It's going to go toward motivation, isn't it? Consistency. It's going to go towards you feeling good about yourself, which is the whole point of this. But if you can't stand it, don't do it because you think it's a necessity. Just don't do it. Concentrate on what makes you feel good and helps you to progress. Probably weight training and proper nutrition.
It's also going to improve your heart and lung health, which, even though you may not think it, is actually going to correspond into your weightlifting. As well as this, low steady state cardio is actually going to enhance your recovery. It's going to increase blood flow to your muscles.
This whole steady state cardio thing, often referred to as zone 2 or whatever, I just don't like it. Intensity is key. When you work out intensely, you're getting your body to really work out hard. That's going to create a stimulus for change. Most people tend to do steady state cardio under the illusion that after 20 minutes, your body snaps into fat burning. I mean, I think the whole theory behind that is your glycogen stores deplete, therefore the body has to use fat. But what is important is the work that you do in the gym, and then what follows. That's the key. And if you're intense during the gym, your body's going to be working hard afterwards. Same as weight training. You never go, oh, I must have burned 1,000 calories, so that's awesome. what you do is you say, I burnt however many calories I've burnt, and now I'm going to go and rest and recover. My body's going to be hard at work building muscle. Same with cardio. You do it, you feel good, you get that great feeling, all those endorphins and dopamine going. Then you go and let your body recover. Simple thing. Plus, cardio will make you so bloody hungry too. I mean, I know someone pretty close to me who went on a half marathon, and I thought, yeah, great. And then she told me, I finished my marathon, or half, and I went and got some food because I feel like I deserve it. And I mean, like, yeah, no, you probably deserve food because you've worked really hard, but that food that you're now craving is just going to wipe out anything you've just done in terms of calories. So don't use it for that. However, she did get enjoyment, fulfillment, satisfaction, motivation out of it, and fitness. She can probably do better next time. That's what she's got out of it, not calorie burn. And it was a pretty steady state too. I think she walked the marathon. So yeah, zone 2, all that happy-go-lucky stuff. And another huge problem with cardio, especially after a weights workout, is that you've got all the goodness that you want going to your muscles. You get a muscular pump. That's why you feel full, feel big, because the muscles are full of blood. All the nutrients and goodness that you want, the building blocks for recovery, are going to your muscles. And now doing cardio, you're diverting that blood away. They're like muscles screaming, like in your legs, going, "Hey, I need the blood down here now. Thank you." You can leave those shoulders, chest, arms, back, whatever, to grow another time. I need the blood down here, and they're different muscles. They're going to be type 1, which is more endurance based, rather than type 2 fast twitch, which is power orientated. So yeah, big argument there against cardio. But if you enjoy it, do it, because that's what this is about. You're not going to get very far doing something you hate. Guarantee you that now.
So how are you going to add the cardio into this whole routine? Well, once you get to about the 3-week mark and you are used to training and you have been consistent in the gym and you have started to add a third workout, then you can start including it.
Oh, so you're going to wait 3 weeks before you start the cardio. Again, this whole time frame thing. Don't get it. I disagree with it. Let's move on, shall we?
Don't blow the tank straight away. I often see beginners going in, strength, cardio, everything under the sun, and they go, fuck this, I don't want to do it anymore.
Blow the tank. Love that phrase. I'm not sure I do actually, but I get it. Yep. Don't do this anymore. I've blown my tank. I think it comes back down to the expectations. You can't paint a picture for someone to say, right, you can get all these results, but you don't have to work very hard. It's like you can eat whatever you like and reduce your body fat. It doesn't work, and you're in this prime position. Like I've said before, I can't emphasize it enough. If you are a beginner and you're researching information like I'm giving you now, and like so many others out there provide, and you are, good on you, you're researching and you're understanding, and you're embarking on this incredible short period of time where you're going to explode, you're going to get results. Take advantage of it. Don't do this for 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks and then sit down and revise this and revise that, or add cardio, or do full body then split. All that complicated nonsense. I don't know anything that can back that up. Get into it. And get into it right now. It's like driving a car from A to B. You get into a nice car, or just a sufficient car, and you go and fill it up and you drive smoothly, really well, from A to B. And you think, yeah, good ride, but how much did that just cost me in petrol or gas, wherever the world you're from? You think, right, hang on, no, I'm not going to foot that bill again. I'm going to go on my bike this time. And it's harder, it takes more time, your adverse weather conditions can affect you, your chain might slip, a push bike is not the same experience as what a car is. So make sure you're giving yourself the best experience. And yes, it takes a toll on you, just like the gas cost a lot. But it's far better than doing something substandard without the impact, like a bike, when it doesn't cost you anything to ride to a destination. Get that car, expect the payload that you're going to have, the blowing your tank, and do the ride smoothly, do it well, and feel good about it. This is the point where you've got to expect that pain, that discomfort, the DOMS, the mental anguish, if you like, of getting stuck into something, especially the first time. You're still learning, you're still maybe a little bit anxiety based about it. Just do it and get some guidance, get a gym buddy. Just push yourself hard, take advantage of this time. Be the car, not the push bike.
You're going to try and include cardio 2 to 4 times a week. Start off slow, add 10 minutes onto the end of your workout. Of whatever cardio you choose, find the one that you most like and progressively overload that cardio as well. Without you even realizing it, this is going to put you into a bigger calorie deficit. And then once you get to the end of this whole routine, you're going to sit down and decide what you want to do again.
Cardio 2 to 4 times a week or whatever. Same playbook. It's the same stuff, isn't it? Time frames, do this, do that. Yeah. Just look, progressively overload over time in your own way. 2 different people, beginner, intermediate, or advanced, will all progressively overload in different ways and at different speeds and get different results. You're no different.
That was day 30 or 30-day beginner-friendly workouts. And if you have really liked this series and you have enjoyed watching them, drop a comment below, give me a follow, because there is so much more to come from me in 2025.
Great, 30 days, whatever. Now, one thing to point out, just leaving this to last, is that what she is talking about sounds to me like what I used to be involved with. She's obviously English, and when I lived in the UK, I became involved with an apprenticeship training company, and before that, personal training. And to get into the club to do gym instructing or to do personal training, and this apprenticeship then trained people to be those people, which I was a part of. You've got to fall under this thing called REPS, Register of Exercise Professionals, and they have subscribed or approved courses for that. And what they say on those courses, I couldn't be a part of that anymore. I had to get out of there. But they said exactly what this girl is saying. So many similarities and crossovers. So you're getting carbon copy trainers and personal trainers, instructors and personal trainers within the gym that have all been through this course or something similar to it, probably tweaks over the years, but the fundamentals are the same, and they are those that I generally disagree with. That's a real shame. And this is another problem with the fitness industry, is that it's full of people who are just sort of the next cab off the rank, and they're just being taught the same thing, and they're all saying the same thing. There's no creativity, ingenuity in there. There's very little. It's the people that break away from that, have their own ideas, have years of experience. Those are the people that I love having conversations with and talking to, and those are the people that you should hunt down because they're invaluable. If people go against generally what these courses are teaching, then you're probably onto something. So it's a shame that she said all that she said. I mean, there's some good points in there. General intent is there. Is it's nice, but really the fundamentals, the important things, I just feel are missing. I don't mean to be cruel about it. I just need to be honest, because that's just how I roll. Righto, well, I've been Simon for the Deep South Experiment. I should probably say at this point now, please like, subscribe, comment if you'd be so kind, do so. It really helps the channel. It helps me produce more and more content such as this, and more about me in the description below in the podcast. So yes, thank you and goodbye for now.